I have been deliberately not chosen for jury duty twice because I was honest.
Just walk into the courtroom and go, I'm mad as hell.
Hey, get in here. Dallas is about to start.
Welcome to the Ewing Barbecue, where we push each other into the pool weekly.
I like
really.
that.
My name is Mary.
And it's not Sarah. Dramatic pause. And
somebody's asleep.
No. Just dramatic. No, it's dramatic. It's a dramatic pause from
Featuring
Josh.
Melanie.
With special appearance by Melanie.
Introducing special guest star.
What are y'all drinking?
Some wonderful bourbon tonight, as usual.
There's a shocker.
I'm drinking out of character. I'm drinking it truly because, like, I didn't feel like opening a whole bottle of anything, or I have to leave the house after we record. And I have to drive, so I'm just gonna have a little something.
Mary, do you like that? Do you like seltzers?
No.
Okay.
They're my husband's.
Okay, Seth.
He drinks the seltzers. I drink the scotch. That's how we go.
Well, I will say I tried the seltzer line by Untitled Arts the other night. I tried like the pineapple mango one or something like that. I don't know. But it was phenomenal. It was a kind of mango or peach. I don't know. It was some kind of citrus that I really liked. But the thing that got me about that seltzer is that it wasn't all too carbonated. Like, it didn't feel like it was going to give you heartburn afterwards.
Oh, that's good. Because I get heartburn easy these days.
And my next beer will be an Untitled Arts beer, and I'll show you kind of what the cans look like. They all kind of look the same.
Okay.
So when I whip that out, I'll be like,
"Ooh, yeah!"
When I whip it out,
baby.
And of course, I'm drinking one of my weird beers. This one's called "Despite All the Lunacy."
Nice. By
Burial. This is actually a short name for Burial. Their names are sometimes like that long.
I'm just drinking Dr. Pepper, but I'm going to go get a beer in a second.
Have you seen the Dr. Pepper and cream soda?
That sounds good.
Mix?
I love cream
I don't
soda.
like cream soda, but I don't mind this. This is it's quite good. I just bought a 6-pack to bring up to
I don't drink a lot of pop.
New Hampshire for the weekend.
I'm from Michigan. I call it pop.
Soda?
So you're not going to get me to stop.
Okay. To anyone listening in the New England area, she's talking about soda.
Whatever.
No,
I know.
Down
that's
south, they call every
drug
single soda Coke. Like, doesn't matter.
I don't, but everybody does.
Yeah. And I have not had any soda besides ginger ale to calm a stomach since I was 6. I have not had any soda.
Really? Oh, I would die.
No, girl.
Because I like it when I'm hungover or something.
Occasionally. Okay.
That's the only housekeeping that I can think of. I do know that Josh Henderson is now on set for All Rise, the TV show. He's either making a guest appearance or multiple appearances. He's delayed his move to Nashville.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad he's doing something in his line of work. However, it's not to say that he can't do the same thing in Nashville. I mean, I know people split their time like on hiatus and stuff.
Really?
Right. I don't know if it's just a guest appearance, single episode, and then he's heading to Nashville, but he is back in LA on set now. So yes. And Walker, Texas Ranger is on CW with Mitch Pileggi and Molly Hagan.
Oh, the new one.
They have roles in the new one.
Hang on.
Yes. Which, Sheree Wilson does not approve.
Also, Susan Howard is going to be doing a private signing of merch coming up. Which is rare because she doesn't do that very often.
And she's my favorite.
So
what merchandise, where, and how? Tell us.
It's with official pics Pix. So you go to officialpics.com, and it happens on Wednesday, March 3rd. So orders will run through Monday, March 1st, or until sold out. And you can send items in. I don't know if it's a little late for that to try to do that, but you could try.
I wonder, does she maybe?
Yeah.
Do they have?
And you'll post that link.
Pictures you can buy that she'll sign and mail out.
Yeah, you can go on there and you can buy things for her to sign, or you could send things in. But yeah, I think you just go to that link, officialpics.com.
I'm totally going to do that because I love her so much. Yay.
I have her signature on that Dallas album with all those cast members so I was fortunate enough to at least get that, but I'm going to definitely look into whatever
my friend
she's
Vinny
got
for sending me that
up there. Yo, Vinny!
Hey,
shout out to Vinny.
It just came out of my mouth. Whoops.
All right, is that it? Anything else?
All right.
I think so.
All right.
That's all we got.
Into the episode, because tonight we are talking about season 3, episode 23, Jock's Trial, Part 2, Dos Zwei. It was written by Arthur Bernard Lewis, directed by Irving J. Moore, and aired February 28th, 1980. So literally like almost, 39 years ago to the, 41 years ago to that day.
The book says February 29th, February 29th. It was a leap year.
Well, IMDb.com said it was February 28th. So
Barbara Curran's book says
either
the 29th.
way, it's almost exactly to the day because today is February 25th, 2001. So that was 41 years ago.
Yes. And let's see, guest cast. We have the first appearance of Stephen Elliott as Scotty Demarest. And it's interesting to know that Scotty Demarest, Stephen Elliott, ended up married to Alice Herson, who played Mavis Anderson.
Too.
Yep. And the episode improved on the previous week's ratings. Number 6 for the week with a 45 share. And it's interesting to note that they used sepia tones during this episode for the flashbacks, which I thought were kind of weird, the first-person perspective that they were shot from, the flashbacks. But we'll get to that part later. And you see Digger's grave here for the first time, and it's in episodes 54 and 321 that you also see his grave. And those are the trivia and cast.
So we start on the exterior of Matt Devlin's place.
This whole thing is just running around in circles.
I don't know if it's coming.
Devlin
I mean, I don't think it's running in
just
circles. I think it's actually like it's coming to a head this episode. It's a thing.
Oh yeah, it has been though with the whole Mimosa Park. They just keep talking in circles about Mimosa Park,
and hanging out.
They have.
That's a thing.
And she finally shoots him down.
Right.
And he scraps the entire project for her.
Just for her. He's just like, I'm done. And
what?
So they're sitting in the apartment getting day drunk and sitting next to each other.
Day drunk.
She touches her. She touches his finger.
That's weird.
But the fact that all of this leads up to, I'm just going to shut the whole project down just because she did. It made me feel like all of that around and the back and forth.
Because he's been totally doing it and drawing it out to spend more time with Ellie. That's the thing. It's been a reason for the two of them to talk and day drink wine in his, it looks like apartment. And I don't know, they've been flirting and Ellie's been digging it. And so.
Right. And later in the episode, there's a scene where we learn basically why
but she kind of admits it right now.
And we'll get to that.
He just calls it out and he's like, we're falling in love. And then she's just like, I'm not really falling in love. Like, I like your company and like, you make me feel good about myself, but like, I don't love you. And I'm not going to have an affair with you because I feel guilty.
Which is important. Right. Which is important that she feels good about herself after the year she's been through. Yeah. Right. And then Bobby calls and he's going to pick her up and go to court for
he tells her
Jock's arrest thing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. And this is like rapid fire. Like they go from Braddock to the courthouse all while she's still in that office. So I'm wondering, like, that's a fast trip to Braddock, and they process him and bring him into court.
How far is it supposed to be?
Very.
We're going into town, Mom.
That's a good question. They must have like an underground tunnel or something that just shoots them straight to the courthouse because, well, they get the front page of everything they do is on the front page of every paper. You know, there's the hostage crisis is going on in Iran and all that stuff, and real stuff is going on in the supposed news and all. But nope, the Ewings are on the front page. They trump everything. Oh, we don't want to use that word. Sorry.
It makes me think of something from a later season where somebody looks at somebody else and says, Time Magazine or the Dallas Press.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you get to the courthouse.
They have set bail, a token $10,000 bail, you say.
A token.
That's nothing.
Right.
And I put, Jock went to the pokey. The pokey. So
when he got arrested, Ellie was at Matt Devlin's. Bobby calls her to pick her up. They get to the courthouse. He's already at the courthouse, all while she's still at Matt Devlin's. And the news media are there before, and they've already set up. And that lady has that big, long microphone that reminds me of like Bob Barker's one from.
That's so funny.
Yeah, the really long one. And the news reporter behind her has a really short microphone. So, and those TV cameras from 1980, my God.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I need a hernia belt lifting that thing.
Y'all talk to the press too much. Everybody talks too much. I'd be mad as hell too.
Right.
And Jock was like, I was mad as hell.
I'm mad as hell.
I'm mad as hell, boy.
How you feeling, Mr. Year? I'm mad as hell.
And Harv Smithfield had some his hair looked very dark in that episode. It's amazing how much he'll age over the course of the series.
And they announced that they're calling in Scotty Demarest from Houston, which because he's considered the best, and I'm really excited about it because I actually really like Scotty Demarest.
The way he handles things in a courtroom
and I really
is just
like his voice.
fun to
There's
watch.
Something about his voice that I don't know what, but I like it. I like it.
He's got that. It's almost like Southern gentleman, but like the deep South, like where his accent wants to make you stand up straight and call him sir. I mean, there's
he commands respect.
There's a few people in my life that have spoken with that dialect.
It's the deep South.
I hate to even use this word. It's almost like the plantation Southern accent. Okay. If that makes any sense.
It's
South
like Georgia. Very South.
I don't know the difference between the different Southern accents, but I will take your word as an expert.
North and South Carolina.
This is totally different.
North Carolina and South Carolina are different from Georgia, which is different from Alabama and Mississippi, which is different from Louisiana, which is different from Tennessee.
Yes,
they're all
that's
all weird.
Right. You have like I'm thinking like Blanche Devereaux's father on the plantation.
Well, I don't know. Does anyone watch The Office besides me? Ever?
I've seen it. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I've seen it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I watched it once. And
There was
love
an
that show.
episode where they
Wasn't my
did a
thing,
murder
but
mystery and they were in Savannah, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of accents that Scotty Demarest reminds me of.
All right.
Savannah.
And that scene that we're going to come to in the South Fork living room with the family, and when Scotty shows up at the house and he's laying out the case and all, just the way he lays it out with his plantation gentlemanly Southern voice, it's like, okay, I'm captured. Where are you going with this? I want to hear more.
Digger's
Keep
doing
talking.
well.
Great news.
It's not looking good.
No, he's not looking too
Cliff
good.
has good news.
No,
Jock was arrested. Digger, he doesn't seem to give a fuck.
that
Yeah.
that doesn't seem to sit well with Pam, who's accusing him of using the DA's office to grind an axe with the Ewings.
Oh.
Yeah, I put that Cliff is like, "Mwah," and Pam isn't having it.
Yes, he's twirling his mustache.
Whenever you do that, yeah, the twirling mustache.
He runs down. And Digger just wants to drink. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about anything else. He's like, yeah, okay, cool. A little party over here.
His liver is shot to hell. He
Just a
doesn't.
I said this.
Yeah. So
I said this
another
show
drink's
is
not
all
gonna
about
kill him.
pleasing Daddy, isn't
Well.
it?
Ooh.
Whether it's
It
Digger
really is.
or it's Jock,
Yes.
or in the new series, even John Ross doesn't want to admit it. He's still living in JR's shadow.
Lots of daddy issues.
Lots of daddy issues all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Not
Right,
twirling
and
the mustache,
even
I'm twirling my
onto-
hair.
for a little while onto Knots Landing, Gary was even.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gary. Gary comes rightly by it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Jock
Yeah.
treated Gary like shit. Yep.
Like a pile of
And then
shite.
Ellie is not happy
Yes.
about the whole
Oh, wait. Establishing shot. You got a drink because
Oh,
Pam's
yeah,
car
next
goes
to that.
revving
Okay.
up the South Fork driveway. And I think that was a recycled stock shot because they are filming in California now
Yeah.
at this point in the season. So might as well just throw in that
Right.
shot of a car pulling through the gate once
I
in a while.
have a
Just
question,
to,
Josh,
remind people
because I don't know if it is in the book. No, it's not. Okay. I've only owned one book about a TV series in my life that it actually had filming dates
Ooh.
in them versus the air dates. It was one of my I Love Lucy books that I had
I was
a long
hoping
time
it was
ago.
Dallas.
No, it's not that. I just opened the Dallas guide, the Barbara Curran book.
Mhm.
It just has air dates. I'm always curious about when things were filmed. Like, I'd like to know those dates as well.
Because I think they were all filmed in pieces. So they filmed parts of the pieces early, and then they filmed parts of the other ones like months later. So
That makes sense.
yeah, the first part of the season when they were
filmed the
in
outdoor
Texas during the summer, they did it right. But they didn't have all the way written up through
pretty
the end of the
close. Like,
season.
I think a lot of them. Well, I could be wrong, but I think they do
Because
like at least a lot of them later on.
Right, because this season was supposed to end with this episode. And the network said, give us 2 more. And at the end, I will tell you
Which means
what that
that
shot
they
was supposed to
probably
be at the
then
end
the
of the
next
season.
2 episodes are all like there is no outdoor scenes at all because they filmed them later, like after everything else.
And that makes
Yes.
sense because they
This is
got
that
2 more
time.
episodes because wasn't somebody starting to renegotiate their contract?
And also ratings started going up too. So they're like,
ratings were
So
going up. That's
those-
why. And then
Those 2
after
episodes,
something
it
happened,
bought them time
when
and
they
it only
started-
made things
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
right, we'll see how it turns out. We'll compare the ending
When we get there.
from this episode with the one they come up with a couple of episodes later, and just see which was better.
Honestly, from what I said
lackluster.
at the very end of this episode, I don't know, kind of lackluster. Anyway, moving on.
That
It was. I was like, really? They were going to use this as the season finale?
I mean,
yeah, they probably thought it was, and then when all the other stuff, they're like, "Oh, this is way better." And it just was.
You're talking about that? Okay, yeah. But they needed to use that part as the freeze frame cliffhanger, though.
Right, like,
and they didn't.
Okay.
No. There was a certain scene when we get to the end that they didn't use. That was supposed to be the final shot. That I will.
Did it make it to the cutting room floor?
Yes. Yes, it's on the cutting room floor.
All right. This is. You know what, you guys? Maybe it's not too late for me. That is what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to go into vault. Yes, I wanted to go to the cutting room floor. I wanted to go into vaults and shit in Hollywood and find all the unedited blooper, outtake, whatever, and even old disintegrating films and restore them all. I wanted to find
money to do that.
I wanted to go work for studios and do that,
and I think
I'm not doing that. It's what I wanted to do.
I want to say that Sylvester Stallone's son Sage, before he died, was doing some of that. He was in that line of work.
Film preservation. And I've seen positions listed for it for like 20th Century Fox and things, and I'm like, but I can't imagine uprooting my life and going out there now at this point in my life. I can't.
And what's a shame is that in the early days they recorded over a lot of stuff.
We were shut away.
A lot of stuff aired and was wiped out because
that you didn't want to. Somebody taped over the tab that you ripped off.
So Pam comes in and she feels legit bad about the whole thing because she knows that Cliff is just doing this for revenge against Jock and JR, and so she's just like, "Sorry, Jock," and
JR goes, "Well, you must be running a car to your brother today now, huh?"
So she just walks out. She goes up to the room because she's worried about the families being in a fight, and then Bobby comes up to the room and he was just like, "I don't want you involved in this," because
they both want to know what's up Cliff's ass, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to find out, but I don't want you.
I said,
don't
touch
interfere."
his ass, Bobby.
Well, don't worry, Bobby takes any opportunity.
Take him down to the Longhorn and bring Ray Krebs there and pound him a few times.
That's my favorite. Right.
Yep. Yeah, if the jacket comes off, there's going to be a fisticuffs.
Where's the list?
It is.
Find the list.
No, I don't even know. I think it is. Well, we're going to put it on there if it's not. So every time Bobby throws a punch.
Okay.
Cheers.
Every time, takes his jacket off to throw a punch, mostly. Or like grabs someone
and
by the
shakes
collar.
Him like, what are you doing?
Shakes him. He does that.
And then we got the jock cock pose.
And then we
bring him up, boy.
I love Scotty.
He comes through the front door, so people are still coming in the front door at this point in the show. Let's try to figure out at what point they stop coming in the front door, and the front door doesn't exist anymore.
In 83.
Could be.
I don't know, though. I don't know. And no spoilers, but I'm not sure.
Are you talking about word?
No. And then he says, "I'm Scotty." Of course you're Scotty. We know you're Scotty.
So he's the best defense attorney money can buy, but he says the evidence they have against Jock is solid.
Yeah.
So and I've rewatched enough SVU in the last month to know that means they're going to take what evidence they have and put the craziest narrative they can on it.
Right. But I like, go ahead.
And I like the way Scotty goes, JR, you were old enough to have killed Hutch. Ellie, you could have killed him too. Odds are though that
I like that he basically just accuses everybody of killing Skeletor.
Right.
Yeah, Skeletor.
The only one in this room that wasn't old enough was Bobby. He was the only one not old enough to.
I don't know.
Couldn't have done.
What happens when you leave little kids alone with guns?
So JR would have been what, 10 then? JR was because JR.
Ask Maggie Simpson.
Bobby, right?
Yeah. I don't remember.
1939.
What year did we pin JR's birth at?
And then this was 50.
Bobby was.
And so he would have been
49
13.
or 50.
Yeah, he was 49.
There's at least a decade between them.
Yeah, he was 49.
So JR would have been about 13 because it happened
Honestly,
in
I wouldn't
52
put
in
it past
November.
him.
Me either.
After the election.
JR, are you kidding me?
He
That's
probably killed
sociopath.
animals.
Right.
Hey, if burn the flies off of wings with a magnifying glass.
The band?
Yes.
I don't think JR
For all the
was
dyslexics
an
in the
animal
house.
torturing sociopath because I just can't think of him that way. I think he was the kind who was like, ooh, animals.
I was just
Ew.
going to say that he'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's an animal.
Oh, no.
Like, he definitely wouldn't have a dog. Like, he's just not that guy.
No.
So then JR gets the call that Sue Ellen destroyed a hotel room in Fort Worth. And he has to come get her because she's got arrested.
And then he says, so, Bobby, you going to help? It's like, JR, you're telling him to stay out of your marriage. Now you're coming to him for help.
That's exactly what I was thinking when he said that. I was like, wait, did he just tell him?
Which way are you falling on this? Come on.
You don't want anything to do with him, like, at all?
Like yesterday. Yeah.
Stay out of my marriage, Bob.
I know what he had for breakfast. He had waffles because he's waffling.
Stay
He's
out of my
going
marriage,
back and
Bob,
forth
except
here.
when I need you to come help me bail her out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Stay
and then
out.
like, see you guys, I told you she was drinking.
That whole scenario is so sad to me that he's doing that to her. Because, I mean, she can't prove it. You know, I mean, she can't say, like, nobody believes her.
Right.
Oh, my God. Ugh.
And remember, the odds are tough in this court case, by the way. But
Yes.
Scotty is used to winning.
Yeah. Yep. And he said,
I like the
then
confidence.
Jock's like, don't you want to ask me if I'm guilty or whatever? And Scotty's like, I don't care. I don't deal with guilt or innocence. I deal with acquittals. Okay.
That's like classic
That's right.
defense attorney right there. Like, I don't care whether you did it or not. We're going to try to get you off the charges.
And this is where we have that weird, flashback. And
that sepia tone bar fight.
Yeah, with Hutch. And it's all like Jock's POV, which is really weird. I don't know.
And you hear the Jim Davis of today's
voice.
voice. You hear the same voice.
I don't think so. They're just like, well,
Dale Midkiff was a little, who wasn't around.
I don't know. Has anybody seen an old movie with Jim Davis in it before Dallas? Because I'd like to see what his voice was like.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was in an old cowboy movie a long time ago. It was on one of those Western channels because my ex-husband used to love to watch Westerns. And he was like, oh, you're that guy from Dallas you like? And I was like, oh, that's him. And I looked it up, and he looked exactly the same, just a younger version. You know, like.
Yeah.
He was on an episode of something with Donna Reed.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Which is interesting. But so Jock's side of the story, just for anyone out there, was that Hutch had been selling steers and getting kickbacks. And, they stop by the saloon and have a few belts. That's what
I found one. Hold on.
But yeah, you had mentioned about Scotty dealing in acquittals and doesn't want to know about
lawyers. I mean, I learn everything about this from television, but don't lawyers want to at least know so they can plan? I don't know.
And did we comment on Ellie's concerned look when she was as JR and Bobby were leaving, and then she looks, Jock is off with this guy.
No, I didn't. I
She
didn't
has that
take note of
concerned
that.
look where her eyes. Oh,
yeah.
But
silently
there she is
emoting.
without dialogue again with her concerned look.
You guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Legit. I'm watching a clip on YouTube right now from 1955 with Jim Davis in this Stories of the Century episode TV show. Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Legit, his voice is the same.
You should post that to our group.
Okay.
It's not the cowboy one? The Western?
Yeah, it is. It is a Western. There's
He was on
several.
an
It may have
episode of
been
Gunsmoke at one
Josh,
point.
because that sounds like something he would have watched. It may have been Gunsmoke.
He was in Stories of the Century from the mid-50s quite a bit. He was on a couple episodes of that. And maybe Gunsmoke. I'll look some more, but yeah, you can tell it's Jim Davis. I mean, it kind of looks like him.
And I think he was on the Donna Reed show at one point.
That should be pretty easy to find because that was like syndicated.
His voice was like, it's a little more raspy as you get older, but you can tell it's him.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So the news comes through that Jock's been indicted. We've
jumped a week
a lot through this episode. And so then Jock is on the porch with Miss Ellie, and he just kind of casually asks for the update on Mimosa Park.
But he I like that slapping the paper.
Yeah.
But damn
it. And so she's like, he dropped it, so there's no more thing. I don't have to do that anymore. And so then he's just like, so is that the end of you and Matt Devlin then? I'm like, what?
Shots fired.
And then she's all like, what makes you think there is a me and Matt Devlin? And he's like, I've got eyes, Uh-oh.
And then he said something about, she asked why he didn't say anything. And he said, after all these years, if she doesn't know his feelings, there's nothing really more
like
that
Jock impressed me more in this moment than
he
has in most of the series, to be honest with you. So he just he knew that was happening, and he just was letting Ellie figure it out and on her own without making her feel guilty or stepping in or anything. He was just kind of letting her, he wasn't being jealous, any of that. He's just letting her deal with it. And then she, came to the realization that that's not something she wanted to do.
It's like he knew. He was like, oh, it's her folly. She'll be fine.
He trusted their love.
She'll be back.
It's like that saying, if you love something, set it free, and if it comes back, then it was meant to be yours.
And then the motherfucker cries, and I was there for the entire thing. I was like, Jock!
So...
And this is actually the scene that they used to make the painting in the new series of Jock and Ellie.
Oh.
Where they were on the new series.
Okay.
Yes, the one that the paint by numbers thing that you see on the wall of them.
I don't know why they did not.
So, side note, Jim Davis was on Gunsmoke 11 times and on 4 other, Wagon Train and Stories of the Century. I don't know if he was on Bonanza? But he was basically the John Wayne of TV. And he was also in a couple of John Wayne movies. I just Wikipedia'd him. He did a lot of stuff. Mostly Westerns. I mean, and he's from Missouri. That's where he was born.
I'll be damned if I recognize Missouri as a state. No.
It's kind of there. Texas is here and Missouri is there. So
yeah, that makes sense.
He played Jock Ewing on Dallas too. No, just kidding.
Jim wasn't his name. That was a stage name. His name was.
I was gonna make.
He also drew Garfield.
His name was Marlon. His name was Marlon. Marlon Davis.
Gunsmoke.
Oh, his real name? Marlon?
Marlon.
I like Marlon.
Cannon.
Marlon.
It has more character than Jim.
The Virginian, the High Chaparral.
John Wayne's name was
Death
Marion,
Valley Days.
So.
Bonanza.
Exactly.
Bonanza, 3 episodes.
Aww.
3 episodes of Bonanza. Okay. Rawhide, Laredo. Perry Mason, Wagon Train, Laramie, The Donna Reed Show, 1963.
You guys.
Yeah.
And she's in full on denial mode of everything.
And she doesn't remember tearing up the Love Nest.
She's just like, yeah, none
That
of
ain't
that
just a
happened.
river in Egypt
Everything's
now, is it
fine.
now?
I'm just gonna lay in this bed because nothing matters anymore.
And she's looking pretty rough, and JR's like,
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
he's eating it up. He's being an ass.
Yes, he's being an asshole. Not a surprise. And then he says after 9 years being married, so it was their 9th anniversary party.
Mhm.
So it's official.
Yes. Sue Ellen thinks he's in cahoots with Cliff to get Jock convicted so he can take over Ewing Oil.
And he's like, you really don't know me that well, do you? And she's like, yeah, that's why I said that.
Right.
Basically, like, I know you too well, motherfucker. You're up to no good all the damn time.
I mean, he would ultimately turn on Cliff, but if he had thought of it, he probably would have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And JR says his daddy is Ewing Oil, and everything he does for his daddy.
This show is full of men that needed to go to therapy. The end.
Yes, the end.
And then he gets that dig in that she needs to stop looking at the world through the bottom of a bottle.
I mean,
it's kind of fuzzy.
It's not wrong.
Oh, glass, yeah, the bottom of a glass.
Pretty.
It is pretty.
It is pretty.
And Bobby comes to the hospital to get Pam because Pam is there again with Digger because she's just been there like all the time. And he's like,
how?
Right. I think she has a changing room in the bathroom there for her wardrobe.
Well, it's no worse than the haircut. Never mind.
Yeah.
The private salon at the hospital.
Right.
But Bobby offered Pam to get a private nurse for Digger,
which is nice.
That's kind of cool.
He
already did.
I think he said he already did.
Like, yeah,
he already arranged it before he even showed it. But we learned though through the dialogue that Digger wasn't recognizing Pam.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
Or when he would come through.
Yeah, he's fading.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So.
Now this is where we find it's not so much the alcohol, it's the neurofibromatosis that's finally killing him, right? Or is it both? I don't know. I think
they never.
But
I don't think they really.
And they said that it was the drinking originally when he was first hospitalized. That when he like collapsed to that time, that his body couldn't take the drinking, right?
Okay.
Like I think it's liver failure, probably.
Yeah. It's worn out, but they never come right out and say this is what's going on.
Yes.
Right. Then we learn that Sloan is handling the prosecution of the case, and Cliff has been assigned to assist. Not amused. He's friggin' pissed. I'm mad as hell.
And he's now just assisting, and he's not down with that.
I'd like that quote from Jock just to be like a ringtone or something. I'm mad as hell. I'm mad as hell.
I put right about here, I put the defense lawyer is trying to pull shit with the jury. Isn't that illegal?
Right? That's what I wrote something about that too. Yeah. Like, you're not supposed to, no one's supposed to have anything to do with the jury. And then they explain that like, that's Scotty's thing where he like profiles the jury. And then Cliff is going to do like, dude, you guys are so sketching on both sides.
It is.
They're drinking a lot of coffee or tea in this episode too.
Yeah, probably coffee.
Whatever's in that.
Again, me rewatching all the SVU lately. Yeah. I'm like that was the first thing I picked. I was like, he can't do that.
No, you can't. You can't mess with the jury. Oh, come on, guys.
You can't mess with the jury.
Not that it doesn't actually happen in real life, probably.
Sure.
But JR has a way of dealing with elected officials, and Scotty doesn't.
And Scotty's like, we're not doing that either, JR. Sorry.
Right, dude.
We're just going to tamper with the jury.
Let jury tamper. Yeah, we're going to tamper with the jury, but no, you're not buying them off because
he has his line.
He has his line that he won't cross. He's like, I'll do this amount of illegal shit, but I won't do that amount of illegal shit.
But I won't do that.
Right. But the question though that comes up in this scene for the defense is, when did Jock realize that the gun had gone missing? Where did it go?
Like, oh shit.
How long ago though? Because he didn't remember the gun being gone. Really, he just thought it was like, oh, okay, whatever.
He admits at the end of the episode that he knew it was gone.
Right, and
Yeah.
he'll explain something about that later in the episode.
He just was not going to bring it up.
That's right.
And then the phone rings and JR is like, Bobby, it's your wife.
You sound a little like Stewie
just the way
Griffin
he says,
there.
Bobby, it's your wife.
A little Rex Harrison. I don't know what that's all about.
Digger woke up.
Bobby.
And I'm just going to say Bobby's white tie with the black shirt and the tan jacket. Just no. I was going to say no.
Yeah, how many phones do they have in JR's office? They have one at the desk and they have one on the side
Each
there.
secretary
and
has one.
Might have one at the table.
And then there's one on the conference room table.
No, but
his desk. Probably two in the office.
Yeah.
No, on the conference table in his office and then on his desk. So probably two.
Is there one like by the chair on the other side of the room? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think there's one by the couch.
So like the person who comes
like the coffee table by the
use
couch, because that's where he was.
Use JR's. If they have to make a call. I don't know. I will look next time.
It's not necessary.
I did.
Oh,
yeah. Anyone out there want to count
I'll
phones?
totally do that. Okay, so Bobby goes to the hospital and roughs up Cliff. So drink.
Yep, there we go.
Oh, yes.
He's such a hothead. I hate it. That's what I wrote.
I do too.
I think he's just wearing tight underwear, and he's got a
massive wedgie.
Yeah, and then Bobby goes right to Digger to see if he really wants. He just like flat out asks him like, Cliff is trying to do this, Digger. Like he's telling on Digger or telling on Cliff. You know, he's trying to do this. He's trying to ruin Jock, and then therefore ruin Ellie. Is that what you really want?
Says that Cliff only cares about vengeance, and then Digger takes the mask off for a moment. Lifts the mask off. He's wearing the mask long before the corona.
He was
pandemic.
wearing it before it was
just
cool.
lifts it off.
That's Digger. He's like he's a hipster. He's got his hipster beard.
That's right. And he says he never wanted to hurt Ellie. Now what is he doing
Bobby
to hurt
just
Ellie?
said, he's gonna try to put Jock in jail, and that's gonna leave Ellie alone, and then she's not gonna have anyone. Is that what you want? And it's gonna hurt her.
Right. And then Digger says that he never wanted to hurt Ellie.
He doesn't want to hurt Ellie.
Is there more to his story than meets the eye at this point?
I think we might find out later this episode.
Maybe.
It's possible.
So we fast forwarded to the trial, which I just noticed that I misspelled as trail.
It's the trail to justice.
The trail to justice.
Yes.
And Fenton Washburn, which I goddamn love that name, is on the
Who came up? I want to know who was in charge of coming up with names.
The names in this season are off the charts, and I love them. I like Cabbage Patch Kid names. I don't know if I said that in another week, but I think it's what they are.
So we haven't seen Lucy this whole episode, but she's in the court.
They had to get her in there.
Yeah, they had to give Charlene a paycheck.
JR's worried about testifying because it's kind of nice to see JR kind of nervous. He's like, I don't want to mess it up for Daddy. Like, I don't want to say something wrong. That's going to because they're making him testify against his own dad.
Yeah.
So that's
And the fact that he's testifying, I put JR has to put his hand on a Bible and he doesn't spontaneously combust.
Good point.
I swear to tell
Oh, God.
That's like if someone threw holy water on him, it would turn to acid.
basically.
Yeah.
Right?
But Bobby says he's going to drive Cliff out of. They're going to drive. JR and Bobby will drive Cliff out of Texas for this.
Yeah.
We've heard that.
Blah blah blah.
And he and Bobby bond. Yeah, they bond over the future of destroying Cliff.
And then there's that weird transition back to the courtroom where the camera starts on the attorney's back, and then it kind of pulls out a little bit as he's walking towards the stand.
Somewhere in the court scenes, I put approach with this creepy ass looking bust.
Yeah, so they admit the bust that has been made in the last episodes, and we haven't really got to see the bust before. So there's a big reveal,
and everybody has a reaction, and Ray
like,
kind of Ray kind of looks like, yeah, let's see what this is all about. I'm digging this action.
I would be too.
All right.
Lucy's looking a little grossed out. Miss Ellie's looking a little gross, and Ray's like, get past the popcorn.
Because they show the bus and it looks like the guy, but they put a big old bullet hole in the middle of his forehead and make him look super pale, like he's
That's
dead.
not going to sway the jury at all.
Oh, not at all. No.
Nah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Scotty gets a bit pissed about this, and he's like, "Get this out of here."
And then the judge does call a recess. He says, "When we come back, I want that thing out of here."
Yeah, well, it's creepy.
I want that thing out of here, and you can go take it home and put it in your private collection. I don't know.
I don't know what kind of private collection that is. Man.
Yeah, that sounds really creepy and kinky.
Creepy as shit. Yeah, I know.
My private bus collection.
And the only way Sue Ellen can get through this is by a little taking a few nips out of the purse there in the off in the hallway.
So sad. That made me sad. And then JR sees her, and he is so happy about it. He's like, yes, I did.
Smelling like
she's smelling like a right?
Yeah, she's smelling like a distillery. Yeah. And I love how she says the worst thing that happened to her was him.
Yep. He said, the worst thing that's ever happened to you, Sue Ellen, is you lost your class. And she's like, the worst thing happened to me.
I love your little fucking gut punches.
Boom, walk away. So Scotty cross-examines Ray, which we don't really get to hear much of.
Right. He said that Jock never prevented the sheriff from looking for any employment records.
True. He didn't. Except he was kind of like, we don't have them. And then Ray was like, yeah, we totally
got
do.
him out in the shed sitting out there somewhere in the back nine there,
Okay, so we see Aunt Maggie, who we have not seen in quite a while. Who comes to see her.
She arrives from Kansas. So at some point she
moved to Kansas. We didn't hear anything about it.
When she was raising the kids, she was in Dallas, as we learn later in this episode. But now she's coming from Kansas. And she doesn't seem to have much emotion. It's almost like she's expected this to be happening.
I bet she has expected this to happen. I mean, when you have that kind of relationship with someone who's really toxic like that and who keeps hurting themselves.
Probably for a long time.
Right. She's not showing any tears or any of this. She's just coming in. She's all business. It seems like, oh, yep, this was going to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
I've been waiting for this.
And then we see JR on the stand, and the thing that they're having him testify is the gun.
So he never did touch the Bible on camera.
Not on camera, so maybe it didn't happen.
Maybe it did spawn. Maybe
can't prove that it happened.
Maybe it burst into flames, and that's why they couldn't.
Right, we couldn't show it on screen.
So we learn actually for the first time we hear the name Aaron Southworth. Ellie's father has now been given a name.
Oh, is this the first time he has a name?
Yes. But so the gun is a presentation model, which means it was presented to Aaron Southworth by the president of the gun company.
Yeah.
And then it was given to Jock as Aaron was dying. And it really was just how he was accepted into the family by Southworth.
Yeah, it proved that he'd finally accepted him into the family, which was a nice hey, I'm dying. And you can live in peace with our relationship for the rest of your life.
Right.
Thing.
And Sloan is really handling that gun. He's putting his prints all over it, too. He's just walking around with the gun.
Right.
I would laugh if the gun went off in the courtroom. Just kind of straight bullet.
That would be terrible.
Just ricocheted off the wall. So it'll be like something out of Naked Gun.
Kidding. Then we get Virgil on the stand. And
Mr. Tuttle.
Yeah. And he, I guess, used to work on South Fork. And so he was able to
on the South Fork.
The South Fork. He's able to recount to us what happened after Hutch came back to the bunkhouse, because we had heard that like he got to the bar fight and then left. And so then he's like, yeah, we shared a bunkhouse. He came into the bunkhouse and then he was there for like he fell asleep. And then Jock came in and like freaked out and threatened to kill him and fired him and kicked him off the ranch. And then they both left. And then he never saw Hutch ever again.
Hutch came back. Hutch came back and splattered with blood.
No, Jock came in splattered with blood. Jock came in and washed up. He never saw Hutch again. He said, out. I never saw Hutch again.
Right.
But Jock came in.
I can't read my own writing. I can't read my own writing.
And that really doesn't look good for Jock. Not gonna lie.
No. Then Cliff, the bailiff, comes over to Cliff and whispers something in his ear. And Cliff obviously looks disturbed by what he's hearing, and asks for a
right.
With tears in his voice, asked for a recess.
Yes. And court is adjourned, and the jury is sequestered.
Yeah. And then Cliff goes to Ellie, and he's like, Digger's dying, and he's asking for you. Would you go? And she was like, yes, of course I would.
And this whole Digger's dying is just, it's very accelerated. It just like...
Yeah. This whole episode is really like, push it, like time is flying.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's almost, you can get the sense that as they wrote this episode, they did think that this was the end of their season, because a lot is,
they wanted to resolve all of these things.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I guess maybe that's why I didn't think about it like that. That's probably why I did that, because I did think the time was like on everything, on every single.
Yeah. Right. And then CBS noticed after this that the ratings were going up, so they asked for 2 more episodes. So now they're going, we got to shuffle a few things and string out some other things. And So Ellie
does go to the hospital to visit Digger, and Digger's so excited that she's there. Like, he's just got a smile on his face, like he always does whenever he sees Ellie.
So you have Maggie, Pam, Cliff, Ellie, and Bobby there.
Yes.
And Digger's got some news.
Yeah, he's really, because he's like, Cliff is like, everything I say right now legal, and Cliff's like, I don't even know what you mean by that. And he's like, I'm about to spill some tea.
We're about to go sepia again here, folks. So, and this is the answer to the question that when I went down on set in, there was a lunch in early 2012, where they took us and we had lunch with Patrick Duffy, Linda Gray, Cynthia Sidre. Patrick asked some of the people there, who was the only original cast member to play 2 characters on the show? The answer is in this scene.
Who was it?
Okay.
Victoria Principal played her mother in the flashback.
Oh, yeah. Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So that is a trivia question for you.
That's a good trivia question.
All right.
So then he hems and haws, and then he's just basically like, I thought about letting Cliff have his final revenge and just like going. But once Bobby pointed out that like Ellie's going to be hurt by this, I couldn't die knowing that was going to happen. So then he recounts 28 years ago that he killed Hutch McKinney.
So Digger has come home from another bender. Hutch and Rebecca are planning to leave. And again, we are Keenan Wynn's voice, first person perspective.
Yes, perspective, yeah.
She's pregnant with Hutch's baby, and Digger calls her, excuse me, I'm going to say it. He calls her a whore.
Mm-hmm. And then does he hit her?
Slaps her in the face.
He slaps her in the face, yeah.
Yeah, he and Hutch fight.
Yeah.
And
they were fighting for her honor.
Rebecca slaps the gun away from Hutch for some reason. I guess, she doesn't
want anybody hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, well, Digger picks it up and he unloads the gun into Hutch.
Yeah. Yep.
And he buried the body on the South Fork. Yeah. it turned out he didn't know it at the time, but it turned out to be. He took
because he's still probably drunk.
Yeah,
super drunk while he's doing it.
He took Becky and Cliff to Corpus Christi, then to Aunt Maggie's back in Dallas when Becky died. So
I love how you just said aunt. That's how I've been raised to say it. Aunt. Not aunt, aunt.
yes, there's a U in there. So I that's how I at least.
That's what my mother said. There's a U in there. Why wouldn't
That's
you
an
put
East
out
Coast
a
thing. It's an East Coast thing.
Like Chipotle.
No, I say Chipotle.
Sorry.
Chipotle, yes.
No, that's where we disagree.
Then Pam is just like, but what about the baby? She has those like wide eyes. Like, what happened to the baby?
And
He's like,
Digger
I
says,
loved you like you were my own.
I always loved you, Pam.
and then he dies.
And then he dies. And you guys, it made me cry. I cried while watching that scene. I don't know why. I'm like, why am I crying? It's so cheesy because he like says it and then cheesily dies a second later. So soap opera.
And Aunt Maggie shows no emotion. She steps to the side, lets the nurse in, and there's no attempt at resuscitation.
No.
So that also means Pam doesn't have neurofibromatosis, does she?
Right?
And she
That
ain't,
was my very first thought.
she ain't a Barnes, she's a McKinney.
Right. Yeah. So she wasn't Barnes the whole time. All the things that have happened on the show so far didn't have to happen because she's not even a Barnes.
She was still
raised. Yeah,
She was raised by one.
She considers Cliff to be her.
That's right. She does consider her. I mean,
but I
think the whole thing was that like she had the whatever.
And the other two babies babies that died young, Tyler and Catherine with a C.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
What?
Catherine with a C.
Yeah.
No, just versus. Never mind. Spoiler.
But
why would you have two children and name them the same thing? Unspoiler.
People used to do that all the time. Mostly if they had a baby that died, they would name the next baby the same thing.
Oh my
that was
God.
really common.
Does anyone watch 911 with Angela Bassett?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was really common.
So they have to sedate Pam.
Yeah. And again, these doctors just giving away sedatives. Like, where's my doctor to give me a sedative
right?
when I need
And
one?
for some reason, I said, don't say psychiatric help like that.
Right.
I don't know why I wrote that down.
Dr. Danvers doing another house call here.
But he does recommend, one, that Bobby gives her time to mourn, which is good because I feel like Bobby's not always sensitive to that.
No.
Right.
And that she needs therapy. She's going to need to talk to someone.
She had a double shock there. She lost the person that she thought was her father.
Like in two ways.
And then she found out she wasn't who she thought she was, or,
Yeah.
So.
Girl's going to go through some shit.
And that's
this is the top of her. Womp, womp, womp. This is the peak of her.
Yeah.
And that's
forward downhill.
One of my crazy things. Like if you're gonna cheat on somebody and get pregnant with a guy, you need to know his medical history, because this poor girl thought she had neurofibromatosis and she doesn't, because Digger wasn't her father. I mean,
right?
That's probably not a logical thing. Oh, I cheated on my husband and he can never know, but I'm going to make sure to tell my children their medical history.
And Hutchman Kennedy, I mean, in her defense, she was planning to run away be with Pam's father.
She was.
And then I don't know how old she was. Do we know how old she was when Rebecca died? Isn't she like a baby?
When she died?
Yeah.
Well, obviously she gave birth to her. I'd say no more than a year probably she ran out, or she died.
Right. And Pam is she's had 2 miscarriages. So
that means
she might have some damage and the ability to carry.
She might, but also miscarriages are really common.
Well,
mostly.
She was also thrown from 2 high places when she miscarried. So,
right.
And like I said, don't ride a fucking horse and don't climb a ladder when you're pregnant.
And don't ride a horse around a
so much more common than you think.
Don't go in high places where J.R. Ewing is. Just don't do it.
And don't ride your horses near a nope rope or a danger noodle.
Right.
Exactly. But no, like I would say Rebecca was probably alive for about at least the remainder of her pregnancy and probably for about a year.
She had to be alive for the remainder of her pregnancy, obviously.
Well, when she was like a toddler, a baby toddler.
I'd say probably when she was done like weaning, like when she wasn't dependent on the boob anymore, it was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
No more than 18 months. So
yeah.
She didn't remember her.
The DA has withdrawn the charges.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Obviously, he had to.
Good.
Because Digger made a dying declaration.
Yeah, and he did ask Cliff if everything was he said was
legal
and blah blah blah. JR tells Jock that he did not want to testify, but Jock said he did what he had to do and he did it like a man.
And I'm actually, as shitty as JR is, I'm pretty damn impressed with his knowledge of guns. Like
it's Texas. I'm sure that's a thing.
He looked at the gun and he was like, it's a blah, blah, blah with a blah, 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 blah,
1892, 6 Colt, blah, blah, blah.
But also that was a family gun. And so JR would know all that shit about things.
Even though he was there when he was giving it to him. Even though he hadn't seen it in almost 30 years. That's crazy. He's got a good memory.
He's got recall.
If he remembered all that.
And then that's when Jock tells Ellie that he never mentioned that the gun was gone because he thought he lost it, and he was just like,
oops.
Whoops.
And Ellie says it's a loss for Pam, and JR goes, well, Digger's not really a loss for anyone, but Jock goes, well, he saved my hide, and I can forgive him for that.
That's it. I was like, so he said he could forgive Digger because he saved his ass in court. So why the fuck did Cliff and JR keep on fighting?
For the next 40 years. Right.
It's fucking stupid.
Because then Jock's over it and Jock starts reminiscing about the good old days when they were BFFs and stuff. And he was like, yeah, he was a good friend. He could smell oil, blah, blah, blah. And it's all fine.
And then we cut to the funeral and everybody's there.
No. It's like...
Yeah. And it was a bigger funeral for Digger than I would have thought. I guess Pam was footing that bill.
Yeah. And then it ends with Cliff walking away.
Yeah.
What surprised me was the number of the Ewings at the graveside service.
Yes.
Yeah. Why was Cliff walking away? That was really weird to me.
Now, here's where they were going to...
Yeah, what? Tell me.
The original ending that they had written up was that for some reason, Cliff was at Digger's grave vowing revenge, and he had a gun, and that was going to be the last shot.
Like he brings out a gun and the funeral?
No. He's alone. He's alone at the grave. After.
He's alone at the grave, talking to the headstone.
Talking to the headstone.
Like you were with the gun earlier. I'm gonna get this gun.
But
is this right?
But we know that he has a gun. There's like a shot that shows that he has a gun on him, and that was supposed to be the
Interesting.
end. So CBS comes in and says, "No, you're doing very well. We want 2 more episodes."
All right.
And this is weird because their season ended in around March 20th, 1980. Seasons now don't end until May.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of episodes.
Yes, they do. They've had up to 31 episodes in the season.
I was going to say, I knew it was like 29 or 30 or something, but.
Right. And they said, okay, we have to go write something else. And there's one thing that they wrote that's Sue Ellen was going to take put some pills to commit suicide into her water. She was going to go say goodbye to her baby. She comes back. She sees JR drinking the water, and then she just retreats to the nursery and rocks her baby as JR has drunk the poison water.
That would have been a good cliffhanger.
That would have been a good cliffhanger.
And somebody said, nope, here's an idea. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Tune in later and find out what that idea is.
I thought that they were like trying to figure it out. And then someone was like, why don't we just blink the blink?
Yep.
And then they're like, oh.
So, what was that suggestion? We'll find out.
I know.
We'll find out.
It was like a joke.
That's 2 more to go. Yeah.
Yep.
2 more to go.
Good timing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And next episode is Wheeler Dealer.
Wheeler Dealer. I like an episode that rhymes.
I don't think I remember this one. I mean, I know I'll remember when I watch it, but just from.
I liked this episode. I'm gonna give it I think like a 4. I'm gonna give this like a 4.5 and a creepy bust.
I'll give it a 4. That's it. It was a good tie-up episode, but I just never really enjoyed 1 or 2 of this one. But that's okay. It did a lot of things. I like the Digger dying and the Pam finding out. And
can we raise a glass to Keenan Wynn and Digger Barnes and David Wayne and?
Yes.
Yes.
Ding. Ding. Ding.
Are you so you were giving it a 4 with?
Give it Scotty the Pimp Lawyer.
Scotty the Pimp.
Scotty the Pimp.
Scotty the Pimp.
That's his new name now. That's his new name forever. Scotty the Pimp.
Pimp juice.
Scotty the Pimp.
And I'm gonna
Scotty
go.
The Southern Pimp.
I will go with a 4.55. It wrapped things up. It drops a bombshell that's going to change the course of a character's trajectory.
I think that's why I gave it a higher rating.
Yeah.
I like the bombshell.
And I'm going to give it a 1892 service revolver.
I was going to say that.
4.5 and a spontaneously combusting Bible. Because when J.R. Ewing touches it and swears to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth and anything,
so help you God.
Whatever.
Yeah, there's no way.
Whatever, so help you God. God's going to be like, smite.
And that's why they didn't show him swearing on the Bible on camera.
Yeah.
God's going to be like, hell no.
What would JR swear on? Like, what could we count on JR telling the truth if he swore on?
Bottle of bourbon.
Ladies' undies or something?
His mom.
Bottle of bourbon.
Ewing Oil.
John Ross.
Ewing Enterprises.
Maybe
Ewing Enterprises.
John Ross, that's about it. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to hand you your son. You need to swear on him. You're going to tell the truth. And he'd be like, fuck, I can't. I plead the fifth. I'm done.
This.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.
Like, here, cuff me, officer. Hold me in contempt.
I'm guilty. Here are the red files, the purple files, and every other file.
That would be the only time he'd be like pulling Ace Ventura and be like, shall we go to jail? Yes. He'd be like, nope, I'm done. Otherwise, but a spontaneous
drop the mic, boom.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good little episode.
It was a good episode. 2 to go.
2 to go. Find out what the writers came up with in 2 episodes.
And if you guys have anything to say about the next 2 episodes, like you watched them before and you want to share some of your thoughts, send us a note.
I'm looking for a closing phrase for every episode because
we're going to do that now.
I never have the same one. So please send us your suggestions. I would, I'll pick.
Yeah, the funnier the better.
The funnier the better. I will say it as long as it's not like uber offensive. Yeah. Like I will put myself out there for the expense of a laugh. I really will. But if it's like,
am I last now because of my?
No, you're still number 3.
No, you'd be 3.
Okay.
And then she would
it's
end
Mary,
it with
Sarah, you, and then me with whatever crazy shit I have that week.
Okay.
I think it's kind of fun. I think it's
whatever the studio audience suggests.
It's too bad we're not.
It's
too bad we're not video. We could all. It's too bad we're not video. We could all freeze like at the end of Police Squad.
Well, we're going to start having the video available. That's an announcement that's coming soon once I put the final touches on it. But we're going to start. That's a good segue, Josh.
Which means
we're going to start a Patreon.
Behave ourselves.
Yeah, and
I was reading my scripts. That's why I did.
This one will be available. This is going to be the first. So I think last week is the first one, and I'm going to have the video available for people to watch us way more unedited than we are normally, and you get to see like what we're really doing, which is usually like.
Oh, I gotta step it up with my lighting display here.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
Maybe
nothing seizure inducing though, Josh.
Maybe some virtual backgrounds. Some virtual backgrounds of.
Oh, there you go.
Bring those back.
Yeah.
I was gonna find a way to hang the green screen.
If you guys have any cool ideas for that, or if you have any, what would you want for Patreon? Like, what would you spend some money for? What would you throw some money for? Let us know, because we're trying to think.
We're trying to think. We don't know what else we could do to make this experience better, really.
Ewing barbecue shot glasses.
I'm not doing an OnlyFans for you. Sorry.
Dallas OnlyFans.
Ooh.
I got. How much did you say you can? How much did you say I can make on that?
I mean.
That one girl I saw who made $50,000 in a month, I was like,
right?
$50,000 in a month? Oh hell, I'm on board.
I could pay off my student loans in like 2 months with that, and have more to pay off my car. So
I'm setting up an account right now. No.
Like seriously, people are like, "Why would you want to do that?" I'm like, I would totally sell myself to pay my bills off. Yes, I would. Not really, but yes, I would.
One of our listeners is going to be like, ooh.
Make it worth my while, baby.
There you go. You got
as I'm sinking down in my shot here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. But in the meantime, I have been in school, so I have less time. So once I'm done in 2 weeks for the semester, I will set up some. I will try to set up the Patreon. I've just been really bad about that stuff.
No problem, girl. Finish your term.
And then
your grades, you'll be good.
As long as you pass.
Yeah.
I have I have an A or A- in German.
Good.
In the meantime, join us on our Facebook group. Just a note, we have both a page and a group, which I've been seeing people like joining the page, like liking the page, which the page is just like our general information, but there's also a group that's both separate. So
we do have both. Yeah. I did the page to reach more people, and they're linked now, but they're not one and the same. That's the bad thing about Facebook. You have to have one or the other.
So if you haven't seen us, if you haven't answered questions to get in, then that's not the group.
But the page gives us exposure, so that's good. Yes. And I've seen we've gotten over 100 new page likes in the last month.
Right. That's what I'm worried that people think they're in the group just liking the page, and so I just want to put that out there. That's a thing.
And we have nothing to do with nothing to do with actual barbecue grills or anything like that.
Nothing to do with actual barbecue grills. At least till summer.
Yeah. Maybe we can put the link on the page for people to answer the membership questions.
Yeah. Yeah. They're easy. They're just to keep out bots.
Because I have seen some. I've approved some. I'm sure you guys have approved some requests to join the group, and they're like, "Where'd you hear about us?" And they're like, "The podcast." I'm like, "That's awesome! Yes,
I know. So well, thank you everyone who has joined us.
Yes, thank you. We love to have you. Thank you. You guys are great.
Yes. Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna end for tonight. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time with Wheeler Dealer. Until then, bye.
Hey, y'all.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
I am Takapa, and I'm mad as hell. Tonight's winner was Jim Farrell, who suggested I am Takapa, and I didn't do it that well. I'm sorry. But a runner-up from last week or the week before, whenever we were going to record this episode before, was Alexander Kusmal. I don't want to butcher his last name.
Spell it.
I know who that is. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
In our group.
He's the Patrick Stewart fan. Yeah. Kussmaul. He challenged me to do JR's little evil laugh, and I was like, oh God, I don't know if I can do it. All I can think of when I hear JR's little laugh is like, Barnes, you just keep getting dumber and dumber. Like, I can't do it that well, but I tried. So there, you got both.
You did try.
Thanks, guys. I love.
Yes, thank you.
I love the challenges. Keep them coming.
Next on Dallas.
Bank loans on the Asian whales. Paid off today 100%.
You almost lost South Fork to do it.
It was a mistake, Dad. It'll never happen again. I'll never put South Fork or Ewing oil in jeopardy. I'll swear it. The first step in curing a drunk is getting them to admit what they are.
And if the rebels win, there's not a doubt in the world they'll nationalize the oil fields.
What?
They'll take it all. Lock, stock, and every barrel.